Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this Working Practice Committee of Livingston Parish Council. As councillors will be aware, the former chairman of this committee resigned from the council. Many thanks to Steve for his years of service and serving on this committee. So that means that I'm in the chair today as vice chairman. But for us to move forward, we need to elect a chairman of this committee. We have had I hope everyone's seen the email from James Marchand saying he'd be very happy to serve as chairman or vice chairman, depending on what we decide this evening. I am happy to step up into the role of chairman, but as always, we'll be led by the councillors on the committee as to what we do next. So are there any proposals for chairman? Go Sandy first.
I would propose Greg going as chairman of the committee. So would Abby.
Okay. Shall I take that as a second?
Yes.
All in favour on that? Oh, we do. Sorry, my apologies.
Don't get too kind.
I'm not. I'm used to voting on proposals.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Are there other proposals done?
I would like to endorse James's self projection, if that is possible in absentia. I think he would be extremely good, a good fit. It shares his background is governance, and he has a very burdensome CV within the council already, and I think he would make a very first-class chairman of this particular committee.
Thank you, Joe. Any other nominations or comments? Okay. Just a second. Do we have a second for Doug's proposal? Sorry. Okay. In that case, we're going to have a vote on me stepping up to chair. It's Councillor Duck proposed, Bottom seconded, all in favour. Carried. Thank you. Thank you. That being done, we need to now elect a vice chairman of the committee. Thank you for supporting me. Do we have any nominations for vice chairman? Doug.
Purporting James's second attempt at office in this committee, he would also be happy to serve us, and I would nominate that and recommend him on the previous recommendations at the moment.
Thank you, Doug. Do we have a second for that proposal?
I'll second.
Thank you. Do we have any other nominations? No. Okay, wonderful. Then all in favour? Thank you. James was vice chairman. Thank you. Really delighted. Yes. Okay, item 3 is chairman's announcements. This meeting is being streamed to the internet, so please speak loudly and clearly. Please raise your hand if you wish to speak, and please only one person speak at a time. Mobile phone should be switched off or silence. Just checking my own. Item 4, apologies for absence.
See Chairman Councillor Martin for improved reasons.
Suppose we accept that apology. Seconded by Doug. All in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 5, to receive declarations of interest, notification of changes to members' interest. Anything to declare? Wonderful. Thank you. Item 6 is public session. There's no members of the public here this evening, but I always think it's important to remind anyone watching that you're very welcome to come attend any of our council meetings to get an idea of what we do. Item 7, approve the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 10th of September. Any questions or comments? Thank you. Done then, I propose we accept those minutes. Do you have a second? Doug, thank you. All in favour? Carried. Clerk's nothing to report. Item 9, to review the council's Bean meeting until the next meeting takes place, as requested by Councillor Berry. Hopefully everyone's seen Paul's email, which I thought was really well put together, as we tend to expect from Paul, which is very helpful. Personally, I think that having perhaps like 3 to 6 months of keeping things online would be a good way to move forward with this. I think Paul's points are really, really helpful. But do any other councils have any questions or comments on this? Craig.
Probably a question for you, Greg, if that's all right. In terms of storage ability, is there is there a way of, because I would say 3 to 6 months is fine, but actually sometimes it's actually quite helpful to go back and look a bit further back as well. And I was wondering if there was the ability to have SharePoint or Google Drive, whatever else that might be there that we can store maybe a bit longer than that.
Chairman, it's not my area of expertise at the moment. We're just using third-party platforms, i.e. Facebook and YouTube to store this data. So at the moment, it's not taking any council data. If we were to take it off and then store it in our own server, SharePoint, I guess that's possible. I guess you could download the YouTube, but would it still be out there anyway? That is not my area of expertise. I can just remind members, this first came up when we first started streaming during COVID. And I think it was maybe you, Chairman, if you don't mind me, right, that you had a concern about everyone having a data footprint. I think that was the issue at the time. Not everyone's happy about having data of them out there for a unspecified time. And I think that was originally, it was all new to everybody, and I think that was the original idea until the next meeting. But I think Councillor Derry made some very good points about it, make it 6 months, because not all committees meet monthly, so 6 months or 12 months will start most better thing. But I don't know is the answer to Councillor.
I'd be much actually thoughts on that. What might be worth looking at, this might be an easy way of being able to host it.
Yeah, I just think that Greg completely recalls conjecture, and it's amazing how useful a tool this stream has become. Where we didn't have it before, who said what and who, all we have is a rather crude paper record, which didn't contain any detail. So with the stream, it negates any challenge or confirms or declines a challenge because it's there. And I think 6 months is probably a very good time to keep it. It's amazing how often you will need to go back, as Greg says. Some meetings are only held quarterly. That's only one install between 2 meetings. 6 months should be the minimum. Okay. Yes.
So I have a question. We keep the minutes with the agenda on the website, so you can look at both. Why would you not hold a link to the stream on the same point, so you've got all of the record for that meeting? There may well be a cost involved because you're having to pick it up and store it somewhere else, which might need to be looked at, but it's still a record of that meeting. And I mean, I've obviously come in quite late to some of the meetings for the planning, so it's helpful for me to go back through the agendas and look at previous stuff. It will be great with the stream to find out what's been said and what's been happened. And it's hard to do that if you're not sort of going into Facebook and searching through.
It's certainly a really helpful tool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've raised this before, and I know we've had discussions about this before. The access to these streams is, one might say, it was relatively easy if you were a Facebook subscriber. Most of the aging population of this parish are eventually said are not. And really, there was a tool on the BPC website, which when you went to the headline, you could scroll down and go to videos, which is where it all was. It's gone. Now, I did point this out about 6 months ago, and it's never come back.
I'll just pick up. Have looked at this. I think my colleague Sarah leads on this. We can only do what the system allows us to do, and I think ideally, yes, it's perfect to have the bridge meeting agenda minutes video, but for some reason that's not possible. So we have to do it by the news feed. So hopefully we'll get a news. I know it's not perfect.
Well, why don't we change the heading of newsfeed to newsfeed and stream?
Well, we can have a look at it. But again, we try and do what members ask us to do, but sometimes the systems don't. We'll look at it again.
Yeah, I think there's some things for us to look at again. Craig.
I think the best thing to do, I think we're really much in it. We're in agreement with the timescales, but I think there's probably a bit more to do to look into what can be done. I think actually there's really easy ways out there of making it, especially with things like SharePoint and Google Drive. You can put a link, embed the link in, I don't know, you look at your head and
we have tried to put the link in the box that says agenda minutes, but it's not possible because we can only do what our website allows us to do. You're only using other people's templates, but we will try and keep looking at it again.
I mean, that's all I'm saying, is having a look at what's possible. It might just be an easy way of doing it, but appreciate I'm not an expert on the website. I have got
Okay.
a bit of experience.
No, it's not with Simmons. I haven't seen, I've been really busy a couple of days, but I haven't seen the email, so I'm just talking up my head. Are we talking about access for the public? Are those videos still going to be there for us, for the council to access? We're not talking about doing away with them completely.
The idea is to keep the videos,
Yeah,
keep them publicly available and available for councillors,
yeah.
rather than deleting them after
So-
from one meeting to the next.
Yeah.
So it would actually be increasing our footprint online
Mm,
and making the council more accessible to members of the public,
that's
which
lovely.
can only help local democracy, I think is probably what Paul would say. So I think it's worth noting, from my side, it's worth noting that the decisions we made on streaming, most of them were over 5 years ago. So it's been a very long time since we made a decision. We've got a lot more experience with it. We've moved the technology on that we're using, which all is supporting our presence in the local community and people's accessibility to us as a council, which I think is really positive. I think we had problems with YouTube in the early days. Oh, we managed to stream to YouTube now. So I need to see it on Facebook. So if we're on YouTube, there's some really easy back-end work that we can do to bring it into the website and make it more accessible. And I'm happy to, once I'm back in regular work, I'm happy to support as we can, including how you can embed it onto the website in a different way, which is easier now than it was 5-6 years ago. So I think that's something we can look
Yeah,
at.
sometimes what's available, isn't it? And how to do it.
Chair, if I may,
Yes.
it's a very interesting discussion, but I think the main original thing sent to the next meeting, we were talking originally about how long is it accessible for the public, whether we want to keep it stored in a cupboard for our own use is a sort of different matter.
Yeah.
If you can just concentrate at the moment, we try, if we remember, to delete meetings. What's the next one's happened, as it were? So take the one off the end. There's always one. That's, I think, what we were looking to possibly determine. Councillor Berry, I think, was obviously keen to have them accessible to the public for longer. So if we could, if I may, take a decision on that first before we start looking at what cupboard we might put them in here. We in-house want to look at them.
I mean, the thing is that I think there is a broader discussion to be had with that in mind, because with YouTube, you have the ability to make videos private or public, or there's another layer. There's like completely private that only one person can see it. There's unlisted, so you can keep it on YouTube as unlisted, and only people who have the link can see it. So it might be we don't need to do anything offline. We can just manage it in YouTube's back end. But I think it's worth, as the clerk has said, making a decision on keeping the videos public. Does anyone have a proposal we could work with? Craig?
I think, in line with the conversation we've had so far, I make a proposal that we keep them for 6 months.
We can keep it under review. Second, by Doug. All in favour? Carried. Thank you. Greg?
So if I may, so do I take it though that even though we think they should only be available to the public for 12 months, you would like, sorry, 6 months? It's the will of the council that you think we should keep them in the cupboard, as it were, for longer, in case we for some reason need to go and look at them.
If I may, I mean, come back to my original point. 2 of our meetings are only held quarterly. That means you've only got 1 in store between meetings. You should be able to go back to.
I mean, I think we need to do a little bit of work on a bigger picture of this. Because I know obviously Paul sent his email on the 15th, which was 3 days ago. And I think we probably need to have a little bit more of a discussion on what's viable.
Shall I therefore, sensing what members saying, put that we defer in consideration of how and for how long we wish to keep meetings for our own internal use?
Yeah,
And by what means it might be determined by technology.
Why do we need to defer?
I don't think we know enough about it.
We don't know enough
make a decision. We can make a decision and say we're going to do this, but we don't have the means to do it. It's just for
And subject to the technology being accepted.
So at cost as well. I'm not sure about
Yeah.
how much.
I mean, YouTube is free.
Need a little bit more investigation, I
Yeah.
think.
I'd be more comfortable doing something we've actually got, we know what we're making a decision on.
Yeah.
So I think I will defer a decision on further thing. So I propose then, we defer the decision on the wider conversation on the next steps on councillor accessibility, etc. To a future meeting once officers and
So he wants to find the input.
helpful councillors have stepped in to invite an intern. Did you have a second on that?
Yeah.
Thanks, Craig. All in favour? Carried. Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone. It's helpful discussion. Item 10, to approve council approved reasons for absence from meetings policy, as found in Appendix A. Greg, you were going to give us a verbal report on
Yeah,
this.
obviously members brought this in a year ago-ish, and it's worked quite well. But just a couple of things that have come up, the operational things that have come up. But I thought it might be worth throwing out there just to see what members think, or in case we need to tweak it. I'm aware that occasionally a councillor is also, particularly landlord councillors are active in a lot of the groups in the parish. And occasionally, let's suppose they are secretary of the Tiddlywinks Association or something. And it could be that a very important meeting of the Tiddlywinks Association meets on the same night as one of our committees, but because say they're the treasurer, it's very important that they go to that one rather than to this one. But at the moment, I haven't got an approved reason that if members are agreeable, you're all public service people. And I don't like lying and just saying, I'll put down as family or something, which
No.
the current policy encourages me to tell parties to do. So I'm really asking perhaps for an additional approved reason.
Yeah.
But it makes sense.
Yeah, I hear you saying official school governor or trustee business. Obviously, a trustee, I would say a trustee is a trustee of a charity.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, or you could argue it could be included as a community group, for example.
Or substitute the word trustee for official,
Yeah,
which makes it a bit broader, doesn't it?
I think I would consider separating it out. Have official school governor business, and then have trustee of charity or local organisation, local community group.
You're right.
It's two separate things.
Yeah, well, you don't have to be a trustee to be the treasurer, you could be simply an officer.
Trustee or an officer. Yeah.
Charities.
That's very helpful.
Thanks.
Saves me having to lie. Yeah, that's that one. Another one is one or two councillors just sent me their apologies, but don't tell me why. And I don't like to go back and say, can you tell me what the apology is? Because it sounds like I'm checking up on you. And you are giving your time
Yeah. To be fair.
voluntarily, albeit you are accepting the role of a public elected bishop. I don't want to feel intrusive. I don't like going back and saying, Councillor Smith, can you just tell me why?
We don't have to do that, Rachel, you just have to say, make your apology, which is for an approved reason, which you have decided.
Well,
I don't think so.
No,
I think you have to give that to the
I
whole
do.
point. It's
The process is very clear.
You
Yeah.
have to give an apology. So, Greg, I realise that you don't like going back and pestering them.
So, in which
That-
case,
they would-
The thing is, technically, let's suppose I say to you, Councillor Smith tonight isn't here. He sent his apologies, but he didn't give a reason. You could turn around and say, we refuse to accept his apology.
Yeah.
It's where
Yeah.
it's got to be.
He's not made.
Okay, then, well, in which case, members may be seen on the minutes, no apology given, but no reason stated. I mean,
No, I
I'm
think.
not saying it's the clerk look the bogey man.
Yeah.
I'm not paid to be the bogey man, but
Honestly,
You should follow it, yes.
We've got 3 reasons below, which we're just about to make amendment to. I think, I mean, to be fair, family commitments does cover an awful lot of sins, as I appreciate. Thank you to my wife for sending me off on the birthday to the council night. But I would say that the majority of this is covered, and then it should be up to you to then decide whether the pocket that sits in. I think an apology is for a reason that we've approved here. Otherwise,
It should be given,
it
yeah.
should be, it's difficult to accept it.
I mean,
Sorry,
think you also just cut that bit out and just send it. You know, just as a reminder, you are reminding somebody, but we should all know.
No, it's
We
not,
should
we're not
know, it should
children.
be- What's that?
We're not children.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I would look for this, approved all reasons for absence policy to be sent out at the same time as the calendar of meetings for the year, as an annual reminder to all councillors of what the expectations are.
Yeah.
I think it is entirely appropriate for the council to expect, officers to expect, that a councillor in sending in their absence, if they just send in an absence with no reason, so they have sent an apology, but there was no reason given, and as such, we are unable to accept their apology because it hasn't been in line with the policy. And I don't think you should be chasing around, trying to get information from people. If councillors don't send their apologies, then it should be noted, apologies in line with this policy, it should be noted as such. And there are last minute things that are going to come up. I'm going to mean if councillors just can't turn up. I've certainly been guilty of that in the past, where I had a situation I just could not get away from, and I wasn't able to send my apologies in time. And I think there is a degree councillors need to take it on the chin that if you don't send your apology in time, it will be minuted that you were there without an approved reason. But it only actually matters if that's for 6 months for your actual seat.
Yeah.
And I think that it should serve as a reminder to councillors that we do need to send our apologies, and they do need to be for an approved reason. But
The other side of that then, of course, is that if somebody does, for whatever reason, fail to give an apology, then it should be recorded as that. Because part of the ambition of this exercise was to councillors that if they fail to give an apology more than twice, then they are in danger of losing their seat.
it's within a 6 month period on board committees.
So, but roughly it's 6 months of attendance for anything they should be at.
So
The council committee or anything.
The point really is that how do we record a non-apology as an absence without apology or without?
Well, I mentioned at the moment, we do occasionally put no apology received, Councillor Smith.
Indeed.
So I might be another column that says apology sent without reason, Councillor Smith. And it's all recorded. My colleague at the end of the year does a spreadsheet, as you may have seen, recording everyone's attendance. So it just feels very hitmasterish, and I don't like doing it, but that's the point of the council. That's
I think that we, as you have said recently, sorry, Kate, I'll come to you in a second. As you have said recently, we are not volunteers, we are holders of an office. We have a responsibility and expectation put by people who have, okay, none of us have been voted in on an actual local election. But we are all responsible adults who should be able to send an apology to a meeting and deal with the consequences of maybe a little bit of embarrassment or shame for having it all noted down that we didn't send our apologies. And I don't think you need to be chasing. I think if councillors have failed, it just needs recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they may not. So we do need to approve the. Okay, sorry.
No, I was just going to say that you need shaming occasionally.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, yes, the planning meeting the other night. All day long, I got a planning meeting at 7 o'clock, and then something happened. It was trivial, and the next thing I knew, it was 8 o'clock, and I hadn't been. And I wasn't the only with it. But what I want to know is with the meeting being being in court, that's right. Will there be any minutes to say I'm shamed?
We did have that speaker and that discussion opposite we decided.
It's just been recorded as the meeting was in court.
Yes. Which I mean, I wasn't the only one. Fair enough.
You were not, Kate, and everybody had their bits.
I didn't. I just feel shamed.
One thing we do need to do, we nominally sort of said, yes, we approve this change, but I think we do actually need to vote on the change. Craig.
So I propose that we add the changes as suggested, in line with suggestions around the table. Sorry.
Okay, second. Thank you. All in favour? No, Councillor, I'm sorry.
Right. I will obviously, if I mention, resend the approved list as supplementary to all councils.
Yeah.
Okay, item 11, to note the degree of recent training to all councillors and staff on sexual harassment awareness. I must be honest, I walked into this meeting, and sat down and folded my arms. I thought this is an absolute waste of my time. I've never had any cause for concern. And by the end of the meeting, I had Annabelle stuck with me for 20 minutes, asking for more information, helping me to understand how we can better apply this across the council and in my own organisation. So I am actually, I feel surprised but incredibly grateful that the council put on this training, because it opened my eyes to a lot and it was incredibly beneficial.
Me too, yeah.
Any other comments from councillors on that?
I think it was brilliant.
I'll endorse what you say, because I thought you said, I've got done all this stuff.
Yeah.
You've actually done it, you know what I mean, but, and it was much more important, and yes, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I unfortunately missed it because I was poorly. But I've read the slides subsequently and I was really impressed.
Yeah.
They're very, very good slides.
Sorry, it's like-
So we, I come from a corporate background and we're used to some really poor presentations, but that gave you everything you needed very succinctly. It was very well done.
That we all learned something.
Yes.
So, like you, wasn't part of a fun night out, but I found it really engaging. I got really a real buzz out of it. She was a really good trainer.
You don't put your hand on my knee to make a point one day.
It was, I think it was very, very well delivered, and we're grateful for, to the Annabelle for her delivery and also the camp officers for putting it forward as nice. I think we do need to have a further discussion at some point in how we ensure our compliance and awareness in the years to come, especially as we are in an organisation where councillors do come and go.
Yeah.
And so you could, if we only did that once every 4 years or something, you could have councillors with having not done any training. So I think a discussion possibly on a future agenda on how we can do
I'm
that.
Chairman, I think a draft policy is going to wind its way.
That'd be good to hear. Good to see.
That's about £1,000 a session.
Yeah, so,
I know.
I know it's.
It was good though.
It's not good, just-
No.
I'm feeling, I'm just.
Yeah.
To refresh that.
I've got some thoughts about doing it as a biannual thing, but also, but having everyone do it every umpteen years, and then having an opportunity to do it another time, but also ensuring that on our onboarding, that we have a very clear explanation of the sexual harassment, and also as it was made clear at that training, all protected characteristics and how we need to be aware of how we talk to one another and behaviour around one another.
Yes, I remember you said some years ago how you felt that quite a lot of stuff you learn as parish councillor is helpful in other aspects of life, whether it's personal, private, voluntary.
Yeah.
And that's a really good example where that's applicable whether you're a member of the public, a councillor or a shopkeeper or a politician, anything. As long as training is all about making us slightly more responsible. Absolutely.
Just one final comment, sort of generically, I'm not specifically about that, but I found it very warming and encouraging that it was councillor and staff at the same forum. I didn't know who those people were, and taking them, they didn't know who I was. So on any level, it was a useful exercise, and these joint participant things should be encouraged.
Yes, it's good for teams, isn't it?
May I suggest that a copy of the minutes of that meeting could be given to any new councillor?
You could certainly give them a slide deck.
You give them some
introduction.
thought about it, and then they can have it as soon as it's available, but it will give them some thoughts on what we're talking about, what you're talking about.
So cool. Yeah.
So as a new councillor, I found that very helpful. One of the questions I would have coming from the corporate background is we had a lot of computer-based training. So is there stuff available from Horsham District Council or West Sussex County Council that you could just go online and do as an individual when you become a new councillor?
Hi, Chairman, we are, there's a couple of people who couldn't make either session for very good reasons, and we're not trying to see if we can get like an online webinar thing type thing that they could do, because there's some things you need someone telling you face to face, rather than just looking at your papers, it seems so much better.
Question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when they ask the question and then they look at you, and then you think, oh, I've got to answer.
Yeah.
You know, that's the advantage of
Yeah.
being online.
I think I'd certainly like there to be a regular thing on particular, we did like an annual training thing, picking up various things, whether it's sexual harassment awareness or other things that are important for councillors to do. Having like an annual training day to keep us up to date would be a good opportunity to also have some sandwiches and cake and spend some time with fellow councillors and staff. As we know, I like sandwiches and cake. Yes, they're working as well. Okay, I think we'll consider that noted. That's a good discussion. Thank you. Item 12. Craig, would you do the honours, please?
So I just check this in the proposal, Chairman.
Yes.
Right, okay. I propose that in view of the confidential nature of the business about to be considered, staffing is in the public interest that press and the public be excluded, and they instructed them to withdraw.
Thank you. So that means, so we have a second. Doug, thank you. All in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. So that means for anyone listening online, we are closing the meeting online to have a session.